Let me ask you a series of questions. What if life, as we know it, is anything but that? What if everything that you see in front of you wasn't real? What if yakisoba pan was the greatest food ever invented? These are questions that 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim asks its players. Published by Sega Atlus and developed by the 2D gods at Vanillaware, this title is fresh and daring, with a story that is bold in its telling and kinda sorta hella confusing at first. Before we get into the bulk of things though, major shoutouts to our 32-bit patron and friend, Rain. He brought the game up in discussion on our Discord before I was even aware of it, and I'm extremely glad he did. Thanks for the recommendation, buddy. And now, let's get busy. Here's my 13 Sentinels review in 13 minutes.
TGR.
Vanillaware is a video game developer based in Osaka, Japan. Known for their exceptional work on 2D graphics and animation, they have developed such great titles such as Odin's Sphere, Dragon's Crown, and of course, 13 Sentinels. Many of the previous titles were based on classic beat-em-ups that the founder, George Kamitani, worked on while he was employed at Capcom. So then, looking at their newest title, we can see that it is a rather big departure from what one would classify as their norm. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is a unique package. The gameplay consists of two core components: the combat, or destruction, and the story, or remembrance. While playing through the story, you get to walk around the world and interact with either background elements or other characters. It's very reminiscent of visual novels or point-and-click adventures, just with much more of an emphasis on traversal around the different sections of the world you inhabit. As you may have noticed in the footage, there's a big triangle button icon on the top right of the screen. And this represents the Thought Cloud, a section of the HUD which is incorporated into the story quite expertly, in my opinion. As you talk with different characters during the story segments, you'll begin seeing certain clues or reading keywords that you can either think about personally or bring up to other characters in conversation to proceed with the story. This system works for this kind of game since the story is what keeps the momentum of the title going, and it helps to remind you of what that character was doing on their previous story segment, like a recap of sorts. And let me tell you, I personally needed that recap because there are so many stories to keep track of. Oh, did I mention that there are 13 different characters that comprise the main story, hence the name 13 Sentinels? Each character has a unique personality and storytelling trope, ranging from a murder mystery to a Groundhog's Day style of event, and they all feel pretty darn engaging, and are mostly fun to play, except for maybe one, Joro Kurabe. His story wasn't bad in the slightest, but the way that it's told and structured felt very repetitive. Starting each part of the story the same exact way for the majority of its entire runtime was just not fun. Every time you do a portion of each character's story, the total percentage goes up, indicating progress being made. Wow, that was really some basic mansplaining. And at points, certain characters begin to unlock as you progress through the story of other characters. At other times, the opposite happens, and you won't be able to progress the story of that specific character, and will either have to go to another character path or do some combat scenarios. So now, we should discuss the other half of 13 Sentinels. Combat essentially boils down to this: an almost turn-based tower defense real-time strategy game. This type of gameplay, while not my favorite part of the title, is still very engaging. You have your pilots, all 13 of them, who you choose before you begin each battle. They each have their own sentinel and personal abilities that you can level up. Their respective sentinels come in 4 different types or generations, and each has unique traits. For example, Gen 1s are very tough and do loads of physical damage, while Gen 4s are mobile and are better to deal with multiple targets. During battle, your job is to protect a centered terminal that the kaiju are trying to reach. wave after wave of enemies start pushing in while you move your units on the field and select different actions and attacks to help fight off the hordes. These battles intensify as the game continues, with new types of enemies that bring in more defenses or bosses that test what you know about the existing kaiju. After battles, the pilots you choose to do battle with suffer from mental exhaustion, and if used and pushed to their limits, they will have a brain overload and will be unable to participate in the next battle. This can be a nuisance, as there are certain bonuses that you get for having specific pilots in specific battles, which can also lead to fun banter between the characters, as well as the previously mentioned bonuses to EXP and currency. It can get deep, as there are passive abilities as well as certain aspects of your Sentinel that you can level up, and it isn't cumbersome in the slightest. The game does a very good job of explaining all the systems, and even though the presentation in battle is very simplistic, it does a fair job of being exciting and intense when it needs to be. So, 13 Sentinels has a solid gameplay package that never felt boring. However, what kept me glued to my controller was the story. Before we get to that though, we do have to talk about the presentation. And this section will be super easy to talk about, since I'm mostly gushing here. The game looks phenomenal. Vanillaware, as we already know, are incredible at 2D animation and art design, and they excel here, especially during the story segments. The combat scenarios are far more simplistic, but they still don't look cheap, especially when you see the animations of your Sentinels when you highlight the attack you want to use. Overall, a solid graphical showcase showing mastery of 2D design. The audio is also a fantastic component. Sound effects sound crisp and deep, especially when landing attacks that target dozens of units on screen. The music is also exceptional, and while it doesn't reach insane highs, the songs that stand out are truly fantastic. Certain songs, such as Seaside Vacation, a J-pop song that is used to accentuate a hellish battle, which hit me personally right in the feels, and this bopping battle track titled Isoleucine really got to shine. The music team, Bass Escape, which is handled by Hitoshi Sekimoto, did truly amazing work here. And now, the story. My god, where do I begin? Do I talk spoilers? I think I'm gonna have to an extent. Skip to the time on screen if you want to avoid any and all spoilers for the story, which is something that I personally would suggest. Play the game, then come back and check out this portion of the video. Even then, I'm not gonna spoil everything. I also won't do a story summary. What I'll do instead is give you an idea of the story and discuss what I took away. But in order to do that, I do have to spoil the very end of the game and the twist that was revealed there. You have been warned. So the game begins with the world being invaded by kaiju in the 1980s. As the story progresses, you start unraveling some wild secrets such as time travel, multiple personalities, android imposters, and yakisoba pan? Quick side note, I loved that they gave a love for yakisoba pan to Hijiyama. These kinds of character quirks are all over the place, with Juro Kurabe, for example, being an avid movie buff, or Jakushiji believing she's putting a spell on witches. The story is somewhat long, sometimes convoluted, and extremely entertaining. I was hooked almost immediately and did not want to put it down. It is a tale that dares to ask a lot of questions, and the immediate comparisons to Nier Automata are clearly there. Just what is it to be alive? How can life continue after death? What exactly is our consciousness? Is it data? Can it be replicated? Even though the writing could be a bit on the nose and the story isn't the first to ask these kinds of questions, it keeps you guessing up until the very end. And what an end! So, final spoiler warning. I will be talking about the ending right now, so if you don't want to find out, just go to the time that you see right here, okay? And here we go. At the very end of the game, after seeing what seems like flash forwards to a time way off in the future, 2188, it is revealed that humanity actually became extinct a long time ago. The game has taken place inside of a program, essentially, where humans who are kept in pods are trained or educated on all things life, to be ready for arrival on a new planet that has been terraformed to be sustainable to life as it were our Earth. These humans were the 13 characters you played as, and they all awaken on a new planet ready to, I guess, repopulate the planet, baby! Thing is that it is led to be believed that you can take the information of a person in the program and grow a body of sorts in those same pods, which then can be implanted with those specific memories from the person in the program. So any and all of the people you met throughout the story that aren't the main characters can come to this new world, which gives even more to the idea of the human soul and what it's made out of. This was something I didn't expect, even having consumed a bunch of anime and media similar to 13 Sentinels. The idea that you can live on in memories, raw data, and planets somewhere else is, again, nothing new, but the way that it was handled here with the idea of the kaiju and protecting the planet as a backdrop, and then having that twist at the end was just really surprising to me. Major kudos to the writers who were able to keep the story intriguing throughout the 25 or 30 hour journey. Simply put, 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim gets a TGR Gold from me. Even though I did see a lot of comparisons to Nier Automata before I played the game, I will say that the main differentiating factor between the two titles is that this game's story can be experienced in other mediums, such as anime, while Nier Automata, I believe, can only exist as a video game. Either way, both games strive to tell a unique story and they succeed. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim is a highly polished experience that delivers thought-provoking ideas and nails them with an impressive and unique story. Characterization is fantastic, music is incredible when it needs to be, and the gameplay will hold you over until the next story chapter is unlocked. As the current generation of gaming hardware winds down and the new, shiny systems are on the horizon, I'll look back fondly on this title as an end cap to a fantastic 7 years of gaming. I truly can't wait to see what Vanillaware does next. Hey guys, it's your boy Onix, and thanks so much for reaching the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed that review. 13 Sentinels has become one of my favorites of the generation, and I hope I did it justice by talking about it and just showing some of my favorite parts. But anyway, as always, thanks so much to our patrons, Twitch subbers, and of course our YouTube members. You guys are the backbone of TGR, and we wouldn't be able to do these kinds of videos without you. Of course, as previously mentioned, thanks again to Rain, our 32-bit patron that recommended this game. It's one of my favorites now, so thank you so much. But, of course, special thanks goes out to our 32-bit patrons and members, including Adrian, Daniel, Felix, Jan, JD, Nico, Rain, and Shayne. I like how those two kind of rhyme. Yeah. You guys are amazing. I cannot believe that you guys support us the way that you do, and I'm really glad that we've built this kind of community. So thank you for, enjoying what we do and supporting us. We really, really do appreciate it. In the meantime, if you've not checked out our Discord, please go ahead and do so. We have lots of conversations there, as well as just a good community that I have grown to genuinely love. So check us out there, and as always, guys, thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next one. There you go.
Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to see more and stay up to date, subscribe, hit the little bell, and join our Discord.
If you want to support the channel, please check out our Patreon or hit the join button below. As always, thanks for your support and thanks for watching.